To Harmon Homestead. I'm going to wait till some people pop in the chat here. Let me get my water. How are y'all doing? Ooh. Let's see here who all we've got. See if we got anybody waiting and watching. Hold on, y'all. Done made a mess. I'm coming back. Okay, very good. Let's see here if we've got anybody in the chat yet. I'm going to wait a second. All right, y'all, so we are live. We are going to make my husband's favorite cake. So let me tell you, what you need to start out with, if I can get it out of the refrigerator here. I was trying to wait till, okay, I see somebody's popped in. You need to start out with a few basic ingredients. Very basic, okay? So, first thing I've done is preheat my oven to 350 degrees. I've got 2 cake pans here that I have greased with Crisco and floured. This is his absolute favorite cake. It's an easy recipe. It's a little decadent. I try not to make it too often, but it's gotten where I'm making it quite a bit lately. So that's what you need to start out with. Oven at 350, have 2 pans greased and floured. And guys, I've got chicks that's hatched if you hear anything, and I've got Belle the dog running around inside, so we're just going to try to make this work. So the ingredients that you need, I've got 2 in the mixer. I'm using my KitchenAid here. You need duck eggs. If you can get duck eggs anywhere, these are phenomenal for baking. Bar none. Bar none. So my recipe calls for 2 eggs, but I do 2 duck eggs. So I would probably use 3 chicken eggs. If all you can get chicken eggs, use 3 chicken eggs. I am using 2 duck eggs. And I want you to see the size of these. They're huge. Okay? So start out with that, and we're going to mix these in the blender. Or in the mixer. So I'm going to put these back in the fridge. Okay. Now, in the meantime, before you start mixing, over here, if I can point to the right thing, you need to set out a block of cream cheese and a stick of butter. Let those come up to room temp. That's going to be your icing, the base of it. So let's mix these 2 duck eggs. Don't overmix these. They're very easy to overmix. Your cake will be grainy if you overmix them. Okay? Perfect. Now, the next few ingredients. I've got 2.5 cups of self-rising flour. That's what makes this totally different than a lot of cake recipes. Self-rising flour. I've got a teaspoon of baking soda and 1.5 cups of sugar. This is my basic cake recipe, and you can flavor it any which way you so choose. So put all of this in here. I'm going to do about half mixed up. Okay, and pretty quickly behind that, I've got 1.5 cups of vegetable oil. So we've done 2 eggs, we've done a teaspoon of baking soda, we've done 2.5 cups of self-rising flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, 1.5 cups of olive oil, and now I'm going to add 1 cup of buttermilk. Sometimes I may do 1.5 cups, it just depends. And remember, have your cream cheese and your butter sitting out and getting to room temp so it's softened. I'm going to stick with the 1 cup. Okay, so now, I'm going to add food coloring just because I want it to be colored. You don't have to. I'm going to add a little pink. in here. Make it springy. I'm using the gel. Just use whatever you've got. It's just what I had sitting on the counter. Now, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of strawberry extract. That's what I have. This is where you can flavor it any which way you so choose. You could do a teaspoon of vanilla. You could do a teaspoon of almond to make it cherry. You could do rum extract. You could do so many things. Cakes with buttermilk are delicious. Yes, they are. Let me tell you, I am a buttermilk girl. And this brand right here, I said it on my last live, if y'all can get that anywhere, this Marburger brand, this is the best. I cannot stand the Bulgarian style. This is different. I don't know what it is. It's good. It's thick, and it thickens up the cake, especially with duck eggs. It just makes it decadent. So I've got my strawberry extract. I do 2 because I want it just overwhelmingly strawberry, instead of going and buying strawberry cake mix from the grocery store. Again, you could use any flavor. Orange is good. Banana's delicious. What I'm going to do here is a chocolate covered strawberry cake. I'm going to do chocolate icing on top of the strawberry cake. That's just what I want. Now, you need a teaspoon of vinegar. This is kind of like a red velvet cake, guys. That's what this is, pretty much. But instead of just dry cakes, what makes red velvet so good is it's not really the chocolate. There's nothing to it. It's the ingredients like the vinegar, the buttermilk. That's what makes it good, okay? So there's that. We're going to stir it up. You could do plain vanilla with this too, okay? The smell. Whew. He looks good. Smells amazing. So I've got that nice pink batter, if you can see in the camera there. Now I'm going to pour it in my pans. And this is going to bake at 350 for 30 minutes. That's it. There's nothing to this, okay? I'm all about simple and easy. Even looks like a red velvet cake. See that? I mean, as far as the texture and consistency. So it's very, very, very easy. I'm going to have to step over here and get a spatula. It's hard cooking live. It's harder than it looks. So I'm going to show y'all some bread next. Pour it in there like that. Now let me get a spatula because I don't want to waste one drop of this. I hope y'all are having a good day. Hey there, we've got some more people popping in. I think we've got an Alabama person on here. That's where we're from. Alright. But the key is the buttermilk and the duck eggs. Now, if somebody's got a duck egg allergy, I wouldn't be making this cake for them. Some people are allergic to those. I usually don't make this for a bunch of people to try unless I know that they've had it before, you know, and they're fine with it. But some people do have allergies to duck eggs, so always bear that in mind. That's it. That's it. Let's put it in the oven. So we use vinegar, self-rising flour, buttermilk, sugar, and whatever flavoring you want, and coloring. That's it. So let's put them in here. And for 30 minutes. So in the meantime, while that's going, I'm going to show y'all how to make Irish soda bread, and this is the best recipe I have found. So let me switch gears here. I'm going to still keep this out. Alright, so the recipe that I am going to use, let me see, I've got it sitting out somewhere. I've got this book right here. I don't know who all's watching. The Irish Cooking Bible. I'm Irish. I've told you guys this. I love anything Irish. I've got bukus of Irish cookbooks. This is not my own recipe. I'm copying someone else's, but I'm making it my own because I'm omitting a lot of stuff. Let's see here. Delaware. Wow, we're down here in Alabama, so glad to see you. I love seeing where y'all are from. It just makes my day. And it's hard for me to read the chat, guys. I'm having to lean over this table. Been outside planting some garden salad stuff, onions, peas, beets, turnips. Scratch cakes are so easy to mix up. Yes, they are. And if you've got a hungry husband, my husband is 6'7". He comes in and he wants meat, potatoes, and he's gotten hooked on these cakes. So this is so easy. We're going to be busy tonight. We've got a Bible study, and so when we come home, it's late, and I don't want to have to fool with standing here cooking for him, so I can do this early and feed it to him, and he'll be happy, okay, while I'm sitting here drinking my radish smoothie, okay? So I told you we got to fit in that Easter dress, so we're going to have to do something. So I'm eating these radishes, but no, I'm glad you're planting all that off-grid living. Our spring garden's doing beautifully. So anyways, here is the recipe. Y'all can look from this Irish cooking Bible. I can't even tell you where I got this. I've got, if you've seen in other videos, I've got probably 300 cookbooks. It calls for 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Got that right here. Calls for, well, 2.5 cups all-purpose flour and 1.25 cups of whole wheat flour. I don't do that. What I do is 3 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. 3 3/4 cup. It calls for currants. I don't do that. Can't find them. 1/4 cup of sugar. That we need. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not doing that. 2 teaspoons caraway seeds. Not doing that. Teaspoon of salt will do. Baking soda, butter, and buttermilk. That's it. Okay, so I'm using 3 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm using 1/4 cup of sugar. We're going to do baking soda and salt and butter and buttermilk. That's it. Okay, so let me get the salt. Let me get my baking soda. That. And my buttermilk. I go through a good bit of buttermilk here, guys, because I bake so much. Okay, so 1/4 cup of sugar and 3 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour is in here. Now let's do a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm sorry, 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon, I'm sorry, guys. Very, very easy. So I'm using like 1/4 of the ingredients here, okay? I'm not using all that for my Irish soda bread. Now, I need salt. It calls for a teaspoon. Just shake it over it a little bit, okay? Like that. And it's a 1 1/3 cup to 1 1.5 cup of buttermilk. I'm going to use what's left in the jug. There's that. That's going to be about 1 1/3. Okay. We just drained that. This is the most expensive thing we buy is buttermilk. Now the secret ingredient. Butter. You need butter. But I have made Irish soda bread. I've even done videos on this for you guys to see. Measuring with your heart. Yes, that's how all my recipes go. They're just measured on the fly and on the whim, and they all turn out just fine. No Irish soda bread recipe I've ever seen called for butter mixed in the bread. It calls for a whole stick. I used probably 1/2 to 3/4 the other night and on St. Patrick's Day, and this was divine. It makes a sweet buttery crust on the bottom. Now I'm going to put it in a cast iron skillet too. I'm going to put it in the oven once this is done. But take this stick of butter and start chopping it up as fine as you can get it. I made slices and then halved them. Let me get something to cut on. I'm not an organized cook. Again, this is hard doing it live. I don't even need this anymore. Okay, so take your stick of butter. I'm going to go on and cut it to about right there. It takes a good bit, okay, to use. I'm just going to plop that in there until I get done. Now, just take your butter, if you can see me, and chop it. And then I'm going to take all those and cut them in half. Because you want little, well, quarter them probably. Because you want the little pieces all in your dough. Guys, this is the best bread I've ever had. My husband said the other night, he said, now this is just about as good as your biscuits. And he loves my biscuits. So I hope y'all are having a good day. We've had chicks that hatched. Americanas and olive eggers. You may hear them in the background. Someone mentioned gardens. We've been harvesting out of the garden every day. Eating fresh radishes, kale, lettuce. I'm still waiting on my broccoli and cabbages. That's going to take a while. And English peas. They're growing, but no blooms yet. I'm trying to think what else. We've had so much to do. I had to run some errands this morning. Had to go get chicken feed. Alright, so what we're going to do is mix this up. It's our Irish soda bread. I don't put currants, raisins, any of that in mine at all. And I'm probably going to need more buttermilk. I think I added more the other night. I know I am. You want the dough firm though. You don't want it soupy. Let's get this new jug open. And just kind of add a little bit as you go. You'll know if it's the right consistency, guys, because if you can't stir it, it's so thick, then you don't need to be. You need to add something else to it that's moist. I like that. We're not far off. And just remember, this butter will melt when you're cooking this. So when you're checking your dough or your bread to see if it's done, if you cut it, it will look moist on the inside. And don't panic, it's the butter, okay? If you cook it right. And I think I said 375, but we're going to cook this at 350. I just saw that in the cookbook. Right, a little bit more. It's probably going to end up being like 2 cups of buttermilk. I am going to put this on a greased cast iron skillet. And let me check my time so I'm not wrong. 350. 350 for 60 minutes. I probably did closer to 75 because I was so worried that the dough was not done. Because I couldn't figure out why is it so moist. Well, it was the butter. I mean, a tad more. Okay, I think we're good. I've got my little stand here right by the fridge so y'all could see the mixer. Alright, that'll work. Now, you can only mix this up with a spoon so far, and you're going to have to turn around and do it with your hands. Hey, Belle, are you going to try to get in the video? Belle likes to be around when I'm cooking in case I drop a scrap on the floor. What size skillet, please? Well, let's see here. If I could show you up under this table, it's nothing but cast iron. So, I would use, I think this is a 10-inch Lodge. That's what I use. I've got all these just standard size cast iron skillets. Coat it with Crisco. Okay, make sure you do the Crisco coating because it's going to help with that buttery crust and just make it divine. In fact, I'll leave this out. And that's what we'll use. I don't cook on anything but cast iron as far as, well, except my cake pans. And then I've got a stainless steel pot for canning. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to have to get our hands in here. Now, let's talk about the cake. I'm probably not going to be able to show you guys this because I'm going to have to let the cake cool and I don't want to keep y'all on live that long. But what I'm going to do is use half a package of powdered sugar. I'm going to use cocoa. Bam! No. And then I'm going to use my stick of butter, cream cheese, and that's it. That's how you make your frosting. Okay, so this right here, y'all, I think I need a little bit more flour. I may have overdid it on the buttermilk. Let me wash my hands. Are you trying to get in the camera? Okay. All right, let's see here. Bear with me, guys. All right. Bam. Shoot. Shoot. Poor Belle's having to stay inside away from the other two dogs, and she just does not understand. Okay, that's better. If your dough's too thick, add a little buttermilk. If it's too dry, add some buttermilk. If it's too moist, add a little bit more flour. That looks perfect. You want to be able to pick it up in one big wad. And we'll grease that pan and show you guys this. So when you're making your icing for your cake, beat your butter in the mixer, cream it. Do that first. Put your cream cheese in. Do all that. And then slowly add your powdered sugar, or you'll have an explosion in the kitchen with powdered sugar. All right. And then your extract or any coloring, or cocoa, whatever you so choose. I've made this cake a million times. I just change the flavor each time by adding different stuff. A couple weeks ago, I did an Oreo cookies and cream cake. It was delicious. Okay, let me wash my hands again. We're going to grease our skillet. Yeah, you trying to be in the video? Yes, you are. Okay, hold up, Belle. So there's that. There's our dough. Let me set it over here. I believe this is a 10-inch. I've got so many cast iron skillets, it's hard for me to say, guys. All right, so I've got vegetable shortening here. I call it Crisco. Put it all in the bottom. You don't need to coat the sides. This will not rise, this bread. You don't need to let this bread rise. You can make it and put it in the oven immediately. So just like that. Now let's see here. Let's put our dough in there. Irish soda bread is not like a loaf bread. It's more of a, almost like a, if y'all have never had it, kind of like a sourdough, where it's to be eaten in chunks, not slices. I don't know how all these cooks do this online and show you all this stuff without washing their hands. I have to wash my hands if I ever get in a mess. Okay, so we've got our bread here. Now, as an old Irish tradition, what you do, this is my butter knife here, and that won't hurt a thing. You make a cross in the top. This is to let your bread vent, but they always said that the cross helped ward off the evil spirits. That's just a little tidbit of folklore there. So just make you a cross, just like that. And that's that. 350 degrees for, I'm going to say at least an hour. It'll be beautiful. It'll be lumpy and golden and full of that butter. That's what you want. It's divine. Now, our cake is, oh, it's looking good, guys. Y'all can see in there, it's looking real good. Looks just like a strawberry cake. Now, let me get this out of the way to talk to you. For this icing, I'm going to use, again, powdered sugar. I've got half a bag here. It's going to be a lot. I am going to use my butter, my cream cheese, and I'm going to put cocoa powder in it to make it a chocolate-covered strawberry cake. It's going to be awesome. But when you start making that, make sure your cake is cool. Don't put the icing on it hot, and it needs to be very cool. A lot of times I'll stick mine in the freezer for a couple of minutes. Cream your butter and cream cheese first, then add this. If you're going to do any food coloring, you can put it in at any time. It's never bothered me. And or any extract. I've done banana. I told you the Oreo. I've done tons of flavors with this, and it's so, so good. Just make sure that your cake is cool before you put all this on it. This right here, this cream cheese, sends it over the edge. It makes it totally different than most icings because buttercream icing is powdered sugar and butter and flavoring. I like to add this. Again, it's so reminiscent of red velvet, but it's not red velvet. It's just a good, decadent cake. So that's what we've got. And in the cake too, if you wanted to, you could use melted butter instead of vegetable oil. That would really send it over the edge. That's just some, a tidbit, and I've done that before as well. All right, guys, so I'm gonna wait till my cake comes out, and I'm gonna make the icing, and that's it. I hope I was able to show y'all some easy recipes today, and we're gonna bake our Irish soda bread. And in the crock pot here, I have deer sausage cooking with homegrown potatoes and homegrown green beans. So we'll have all that tonight. Hubby will be able to eat it. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Harmon Homestead.